Hey, welcome back. Really glad you're here for this one, because today we're going to talk about something genuinely useful, whether you're a developer or just someone curious about how AI works behind the scenes. We're diving into prompting AI through an API, specifically the Claude API, and the patterns that actually get you good, reliable results. I want to tell you up front, we've got 9 patterns to cover today, plus we're going to talk about some patterns you absolutely want to avoid. There's a lot of good stuff packed in here. And for anyone who wants to go deeper on the technical side after this, there's a full written article on the kudutech.com website. I'll mention the link again at the end. Alright, let's get into it. The big difference, chat versus API. First, a quick framing thought. When you're chatting with an AI on Claude.ai or ChatGPT, it's pretty forgiving. You type something vague, it gives you something reasonable, you say, actually I meant this, and you go back and forth until you get what you want. The API is completely different. Your code sends a prompt, gets a response, and that response gets processed automatically. There's no human in the loop saying, that's not quite right. You need to nail it the first time, every time. That's the mindset shift. And that's exactly why these patterns matter. Okay, 9 patterns. Let's go. Pattern 1. Ask for structured output. Like JSON. The first one is about getting your AI response in a format your code can actually use. If you just ask a question and get a paragraph back, great, for a human. But if your code needs to extract specific pieces of information from that response, free-form text is a nightmare to work with. The solution? Tell the AI exactly what structure you want. The most common approach is JSON, a neat, organized format that code loves. You say, give me the result in this exact format, and you lay out the shape of the answer you want. The key move here is also telling Claude to respond only with that format. No extra commentary, no explanation, just the data. That consistency is what makes automated processing reliable. Pattern 2. Show examples. Pattern 2 is one of my favorites because it's intuitive once you see it. Imagine you hired someone, and instead of describing what you want, you just showed them 3 examples of the finished work. Instantly, they understand your expectations way better than any description could convey. That's exactly what this pattern does. You give the AI 2 or 3 examples of input and the exact output you want. Then you give it the real thing to process. It figures out the pattern from your examples and applies it consistently. This is especially powerful for things converting data from one format to another, classification tasks, or anything with a very specific style you want to match. Pattern 3. Give it a role and set the rules. Pattern 3 is about setting the stage before the work begins. Think of it as a job briefing. Before someone starts a task, you tell them, you're acting as X, here are the rules, here are the constraints. With the Claude API, you can set what's called a system prompt, a standing instruction that shapes every single response. Instead of just asking a question cold, you might set up, you are a technical documentation writer. Use only plain markdown. Keep responses under 200 words, no small talk. It sounds simple, but it dramatically changes the quality and consistency of what you get back. The AI stops wandering off task because you've drawn clear boundaries from the start. Pattern 4. Ask it to think step by step. Pattern 4 is about accuracy on complex stuff, and this one actually surprised me when I first understood why it works. When you ask an AI to solve something complicated in one shot, errors creep in. But when you explicitly ask it to walk through the reasoning step by step before giving the answer, accuracy goes way up. It's showing your work in math class. The process of laying it out catches mistakes. Instead of just asking, is this expense reimbursable? You'd say, first, identify what category this falls under, then check if it meets the policy, then flag anything unusual, then give me your answer. That structured walkthrough leads to much better results on anything that requires logic or judgment. Pattern 5. Build in self-correction. This one is clever. What if you ask the AI to check its own work before handing it to you? That's pattern 5. After you ask for a result, you tack on a validation step right inside the same prompt. After you write this, review it for these specific issues. If you find problems, fix them and give me the corrected version. It's having a built-in editor. The first draft and the review happen in the same call, and what you get back is already the improved version. This cuts down a lot of the back and forth you'd otherwise need. Pattern 6. Handle the I don't know case. Here's a really practical one. What happens when the AI simply can't answer your question? If you haven't planned for it, you might get a hallucinated answer, something that sounds confident but is completely made up. Pattern 6 is about explicitly telling the AI what to do when it can't complete the task. You build in a graceful failure path. If you can't find this information, tell me so and explain why. You even specify what that response should look like. Same structured format, just with a null value or an error message. Now your code knows how to handle both outcomes, success and failure, without things blowing up unexpectedly. Pattern 7. Break big tasks into chunks. Context windows, how much text the AI can hold in mind at once, are huge now, but they're not infinite. And even when they are big enough, processing enormous documents in one shot can get messy. Pattern 7 is the solution. Break big tasks into smaller pieces, process each piece, then combine the results. If you need to summarize a massive document, you split it into chunks, summarize each chunk separately, and then ask the AI to synthesize all those summaries into one final version. Each individual step is clean and manageable, and the final result is still coherent. This pattern scales to any size of input. Pattern 8. Build prompts dynamically. This one is about personalization at scale. Instead of writing one prompt that tries to work for everyone, you write code that builds the prompt based on who's asking and what they need. A beginner gets an explanation with no jargon. An expert gets the technical version. Someone from a specific industry gets context relevant to them. You're essentially making the AI's behavior configurable, a settings panel for how it talks and what it focuses on. And as a bonus, it makes it really easy to test different prompt variations and see which ones perform better. Pattern 9. Streaming, show results as they arrive. Last pattern, and this one is purely about user experience. When an AI generates a long response, there can be a delay, seconds, sometimes more, before you see anything. Streaming means the response flows to the user word by word as it's being generated, just watching someone type. Technically, the total time is the same, but the experience feels dramatically faster because something is happening immediately. For anything user-facing, a chat interface, a content generation tool, any kind of AI assistant, streaming is table stakes for a polished product. Anti-patterns, what to avoid. Okay, we've got the 9 patterns, but just as important, here are 3 things that will reliably get you bad results. First, vague instructions. Analyze this data tells the AI almost nothing. What kind of analysis? What output do you want? Be specific about exactly what you need. Second, not specifying the output format. What are the key points? Gives you no control over what comes back. Give me 3 to 5 key points as a structured list. Now you're getting something predictable and usable. Third, assuming the AI remembers context it doesn't have. In a multi-step process, don't say now do the same for category B. The AI doesn't know what the same means unless you tell it again. Every prompt needs to be self-contained. The reality check. One last thing before we wrap up. Even with all these patterns, nothing is perfect. You'll still hit edge cases, responses that don't pass correctly, the occasional weird output, rate limits, unexpected failures. The goal isn't a perfect prompt. The goal is a prompt that works the vast majority of the time and fails gracefully when it doesn't. Build in logging. Monitor what goes wrong in real usage. Keep iterating. The best prompt is the one that handles 95% of cases well and doesn't crash your app on the other 5%. There you have it. 9 patterns for working with the Claude API effectively. Structured JSON output, few-shot examples, role and constraints, chain of thought reasoning, self-correction, fallback handling, chunking large inputs, dynamic prompt construction, and streaming. Plus the 3 anti-patterns to ditch immediately, vague instructions, missing output formats, and assuming the AI has context it doesn't. If you want the full technical deep dive, with actual code examples for every single one of these patterns, the complete article is on the kudutech.com website. The URL is kudutech.com/Claude and Anthropic, Claude AP, Claude API, prompt patterns. I'll drop that in the show notes too. Thanks for listening. If you found this useful, share it with someone building with AI. because honestly, these patterns make a real difference. See you next time.